Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name's Liz and this is Let's Get Lizical. Today I'm just going to be going through some ideas to do when you just want to play with some pattern paper. I had this urge last weekend to play with some paper, so I ended up taking all of my 12 by 12 sheets and I made about 250 envelopes over 5 or 6 hours. I wasn't actually planning on making all of these envelopes, but it just kind of like one step after another. I just cut all my paper, which is what I was going to do originally, just do that. And then it just kind of like, okay, well, I'll do the next step. And then I'll do the next step. And then I ended up with finished envelopes. So that is one idea. And I can show you how to do that after. But the next idea would be to take your 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock. This is 110-pound Hammermill cardstock in the 100 brightness. That I got off of Amazon, which I'll link down in the description down below. But with this is what I use for all my card bases and coloring right now. So yeah, you can just like cut these, a bunch of these down if you just want to play with your paper and just get your card bases ready. You can either do top folding, which means you would cut the length of the paper at 4¼ inches up. What I like to do is cut it widthwise, so that my envelopes, my card bases open like a book. I did go through a phase where I wanted everything top folding, but I really do think this is, I don't know, more natural kind of in a sense. For me anyway, that I like my cards to open up this way. So I usually cut it along the width of the paper at 5.5 inches, and then I score at 4¼ and fold from there. So I can also show you how I mass produce those. And then the other one is what to do with all of these paper leftovers that I have from cutting those envelopes. And I have a few envelope duds here that are, the edges just like they didn't fold very nicely. So I'm just going to cut these down and keep them for card mat layers after. But when you cut 12 by 12 paper down for an A2 size card, you have to cut an 8-inch square out of the paper, so you're left with 2 sheets of 4-inch wide paper. So you can make all of these into card mats if you want. I probably won't cut all of these down, just because I won't use them. I did do that at one point with a bunch of other ones that I had, and I think I'm gonna end up like donating some of it. And also I like to do the long slimline cards, so you're gonna need larger pieces for that. So I might keep the larger pieces as is, and then I might cut these other ones down a bit and then just recycle the last little bit. You can keep them all if you want, but I'm trying not to hoard paper right now. It's just paper. I can recycle it and not feel so bad about it. So I will likely cut some of these down and then keep them for card mats, and then some of these I might decide that maybe I don't like this and I'll just recycle it after. I just quickly sorted through which ones I would and would not like to keep before I did this, but like I said, like this one doesn't have much to it, so I might actually decide to get rid of that afterwards. But like I'll keep them in piles, and like this is maybe more for a baby card, this one could be more for like a celebration because it's got like these imitation gold glitter dots. And then same with this is the like more minty teal version of this, so maybe that would also go for like a good baby card. So I could just like cut them down and keep them in stash piles of whatever occasion that I would use them for, and then again maybe keep the longer sheets for the slimline style cards. And then this is just another piece I had left over for another project. So I did have a few sheets left over. I was going to donate these because they are a little bit more scrapbooky. Specifically this one, just because it's like a giant Ferris wheel. But I mean, once I cut it down, I think I'll cut it down here and here. It'll just look like a bunch of lines on the paper, which I think is fine. It'll be like more of a like abstract envelope. And then same with this one. Like this one's like a good like Mother's Day type envelope. And then the way that the envelopes get cut, once you cut out the square, once you fold it and everything, like it kind of goes on the angle. So whatever you cut is going to be on a specific like angle. And I can show you how I get around that. Like if I want this pattern to be this way on the envelope when I'm done folding it, then you're gonna want to, this is a template I made, 8 by 8 square. Then you want to cut your paper on the bias so that when you do fold the envelope, it will kind of like rotate back to this, because like I said, when you cut it this way, it automatically like goes this way once you've done all your scoring and stuff. I have the We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. This has actually become super handy and a lifesaver when it comes to envelopes, because it punches out these notches for you. It tells you which dimensions you need to cut. I think I have said in a previous video that the dimensions here aren't exactly for an A2 card, they're a little bit bigger. So there was another video, I believe on a scrapbook.com board that's similar, or it was an updated board for this, I can't remember. I'll try to link it down below, but the dimensions, instead of being 8 and 1/8, are actually 8 by 8, and then you would score them at 3.5 instead of the 3 3/4, and it gives you a tighter fitting envelope, because I found that this way it would fit to leave like a 1/4 inch here, but then there would be like a 1/2 inch here, and I didn't like the way it sat in those cards. So I found the video for this and I wrote down the dimensions, and then these are the dimensions that I use. And it just like makes the card fit a bit nicer. So this is my card base. So if you cut the 3 1/8 that it's called for, then it leaves extra space up the top here. And like I said, I didn't like the way that that's at, so the envelopes were just a little bit too big, so I will always use these dimensions on this board. And I can show you examples of how this would look cut on the bias and without, just because I do have 2 or 3 sheets of this. So I can do one cut regular, one cut without. So I'm going to take these over to my trimmer, but what I'm going to do is cut 4 inches off each side for this one, and then for the next one I will cut off the corners, and I'll just try to center it and then just cut off around here. So when I come back I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I'm back, and then on the one where we cut the tops and bottom off, this is what you'll have left over, is these 4-inch panels. Like I said, you could just save these for card bases if you wanted to. This one might make a nice card base. Matte, if you just maybe cut that off, leave the sentiment there, or put some more images on it. The one where you cut it on the bias, I wouldn't really save these. You can if you want, like if you like this, you could cut out this, fussy cut out these images if you're into that, but I'm gonna just recycle these. And then I will go ahead and punch and score my paper. And I'm just going to use my Teflon bone folder. Actually, I'm going to use, I like to use my stylus here to make the grooves, just because this one's a little bit too thick, and the one that came with it, I don't like the folder for it. So I found if I used the largest of my stylus sticks, that it made a good impression. I also have this note here, right side up patterns either need to be facing down to the left or up to the right in order for it to be at the top, because the first score line, once you do this is going to be the top or bottom of your card, and vice versa. Like this one will also be the top or bottom of your card. So if you want your letters to face specifically up, you want to make sure that they're either angled this way or this way. So I just made a little note there to remind me. And I also blacked out just with a Sharpie the 3.5 inch mark line, and that way I know I can quickly just go to that, punch, score. And then I rotate it 180 degrees and line it up with that 3.5, punch and score again, just because I found this on a different video, because I was having problems sometimes with it lining up properly, and like the card envelope would be a bit too small and it wouldn't fit the card, and I was just getting kind of frustrated, and then I stumbled across the video. If I can find it, I'll link it down below as well. But it just said to do the opposite sides first, and then what you do instead of this guide here is what you're supposed to line up your groove with. But I do this. I line it up to the edge of this, to the edge of this groove line down here, and then I'll punch and score, because then you know you're definitely gonna get that corner here at the bottom. And then I turn it another 360 and then do that again. So you're gonna line up this edge here with the edge of your groove line. You can even put your stylus there if you feel, but like this one lines up pretty well, but sometimes like it might be up like this, so your groove line doesn't line up properly. So I do find that this works a lot easier. Punch and score. Okay, so that when you fold your sides in, I always do the sides first, and then you can, when I mass produce these, I cut all the squares out first, and then I do all the scoring and punching, and then I'll do all of the scoring and gluing together. So this actually didn't line up the greatest just because the words are all on the back, but at least my lines are in the horizontal direction that I was looking for. And then I usually just round out the top and bottom, but I use just a different punch. You can use the back of this to round out your corners, but I just usually use like a larger punch because I like a bigger curve. Like it leaves a little one, and this one does cut off a bit more, so it's just a bigger curve. And then this I got on Amazon, but it comes with 3 different punch sizes. So you get the 4mm, the 7mm, and the 10mm roundness. And I have one that cuts the corners for tags as well. So yeah, and then I just take a bit of glue, and this is just some Barely Art glue in a small container I got off of Amazon again. And I usually keep a pin through the tip of this, just so that I can, if it gets clogged, I can just stick the pin in, unclog it, and then I don't have to go searching for a pin every time. And then I just do that. And then I'll rescore, and then the envelope's done. What I used to do in the past is I would put double-sided tape along here so that the recipient could like peel it off and seal it. If I was giving these away for purchase with a card, but I find that sometimes the double-sided tape gets a little dirty after a while, and it kind of like soaks through the paper, and it'll just like leave 2 dark lines on the outsides. So what I've done actually, and I'll do this in an upcoming haul, but I bought clear round stickers that like I could just like seal the bottom with. I was trying to figure out one that would be good for everything, because I want them for Christmas and birthdays and anniversaries and everything, every occasion that I do cards for. So the clear colored stickers were best. I think they're 1.5 or 2 inch stickers, and I'll just include that with the card and envelope for the other person to seal. But I won't be doing the double-sided tape anymore, just because if I do have it sitting around too long, it does tend to leak through. So for this one, the lines will be on the angle, but if you want, I generally want my lines to go from the bottom left to the top right. You have to make sure your paper's horizontal for that to happen. So whether it's facing the right way up or upside down, you just want to make sure that your lines go sideways. If you want your lines to go up from the bottom right to the top, then you would ensure that you have it vertically done. So I'm just going to punch and score this one. And then again, I'm going to line this up here. Okay. just wanna, oh, my glue exploded a bit. Let's clean that off. Okay, and I just do a little bit of glue. You don't need too much. This is pretty thin designer paper that I actually got from Michaels. They don't sell this kind anymore. I forgot to round my corners. But they used to sell this paper in like 180 packs. I'm just gonna tuck this thing in. This is also an option. You can just tuck it in. But the packs they sell now are like smaller packs, and they're more like of a heavier cardstock. They don't sell these 180 paper packs anymore, which is unfortunate because that's what I like to use for my envelopes, but I have 250, so I'm good for a little while. So this is the angle that you'll get when you're cutting your paper straight up and down, and then this is what happens when you cut your paper on the bias. You'll get it this way. If you want it the other way, then you would just score it on the opposite direction. So those are the envelopes, and I'll keep those for later. And I think I like the one on the angle, so I'll probably cut my third one like this. Okay, and then just for card bases, like I said, I cut along the width of the paper at 5.5 for standard A2. And then I will cut all my papers, score all my papers down the center, and then score the creases afterwards. So I have this EK Tools scoreboard that I've had for years. And again, I'm just going to use my stylus for this. I usually tend to you kind of like get the feel of paper when you have it, but this one feels like it's curving upwards a bit. So I face that down, because then once I fold it, they'll face inwards together. And again, I have this line marked with a permanent marker. I have 4.25 and the 5.5, just in case I do a top folding card. And then I'm just gonna score it, put it aside. This one, same thing, score it. And then I'll just go through, sometimes I'll do like 10, 20 sheets at a time, and I'll just cut them, score them, and then you'll get 2 card bases out of every sheet of paper, so depends on how many you need at a time. You can continue to use this board if you're more comfortable with lining it up. You can butt it to the edge, fold it in, and then fold it this way. I wouldn't score it on here just because it tends to get a bit of a divot, and I like to flip it just so that it's a bit flatter, and then there's a card base. And then I'm just going to go through and finish these off, and then I'll put them in the container that I have for all my white card bases. And I'm just doing 4 right now because I did do a bunch of these not too long ago. And I just wanted to show you a bit of my process. So this is what I do either when I'm low on card bases, or if I'm just like, you know what, today I just want to cut some paper up, I'll just do some prep work. I'll make envelopes, I'll make card bases, I'll do matte layers. And yeah, it's just quick, it's easy. I actually find it very soothing, actually. It's just kind of like a repetitive task that you're doing over and over again. And it's just very, like, it's calming for me in a sense. So yeah, that's our video for today. So if you're ever bored, just want to play with paper, make some card bases and make some envelopes and make some matte layers. Let me know if you found this helpful. If you want more kinds of videos like this on what to do with your designer papers or what to do with leftover papers, we can do some videos like that. Maybe I'll cut up some of those pattern papers into strips and make my own pattern backgrounds. But let me know, and I can see if I can make that happen for you guys. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you all have a great day. Bye!